Touchdown!
We need to be able to execute the fundamentals on offense, defense, and special teams.
Pressure coming, sack! Kevin Snyder came on the late blitz.
And then do it over and over and over again.
Coming and blocked. They got it!
Because the team that does it better is usually the team that wins.
Live from Brother Jimmy's on Easton Avenue in New Brunswick, this is the Kyle Flood Show. Your chance to talk with the head coach of the Scarlet Knights. The Kyle Flood Show is brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Pepsi, live in the moment. The beat starts at Pepsi.com. Pepsi, live for now. UPS, to learn how UPS can put the power of logistics to work for you, visit thenewlogistics.com. To be a part of the show, call 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. Now, let's go live to Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. Alongside Coach Flood, here's Chris Carlin.
Welcome, everybody, once again to another edition of the Kyle Flood Show as Rutgers prepares for Indiana this coming Saturday. Chris Carlin alongside Eric LeGrand and the head coach of the Scarlet Knights, Kyle Flood. Good to see you after a bye week, Coach.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back in Brother Jimmy's amongst fans and friends alike and family, and excited to get out there and play again, that's for sure.
Feels like it's been forever, Coach, hasn't it?
You know, you get to this point in the season, and in the beginning you try to tell the team in training camp it's going to go fast. Mm-hmm. And here we are beginning the first part of the last 25% of the season, and you're right. It seems to go just like that once the game weeks get going.
Well, let's get some business out of the way. We want you to be a part of the show tonight, and you can do so by giving us a call at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. You can also tweet us your questions at @RFootball. And we have, as always, our microphone set up right in front of us here. Come on up front, talk to our man Jimmy, and we will get you on the air with your question for the coach. And this is a big week, not just with the game, as Rutgers looks to go bowl eligible for their 9th time in the last 10 years, but you've also got the Rutgers Athletics Hall of Fame induction on Friday night, and they will be honored on Saturday, the inductees. We'll talk about a few of them throughout the course of the show. And it's senior day as well, final home game for 19 seniors on this football team.
It's, some of those seniors are going to be with us tonight. They're going to be able to make it here for dinner. It'll be great to have them here. And, we try not to spend too much time getting sentimental before the game, but it's a special day. It's a special day for those players and everybody in the program. We want to make sure that we give them the best opportunity to go out the right way so that they can really enjoy that last day and take those memories with them forever.
I was going to ask you, what kind of message do you leave with the seniors as they're leaving for their last game? And as you say, you try not to get emotional before the game and let it all sink in and try to be prepared. But what kind of message do you leave the team with?
Yeah, we address it on Sunday, and we talk about it. And here come a couple of them coming in right now. There's Brian Leone. And good to see you, Brian. Don't be so shy. There's Michael Burton over there in the corner. Good to see you, Michael. What we tell them is allow the day to be your motivation. Don't allow the day to be your focus, because we've got a talented football team coming in here in Indiana, and us being 1-0 against Indiana has got to be the focus. But we certainly can derive some motivation from this being such a special day for these players.
I think you've drilled that message home pretty well, because in talking to some of the players on Monday, most of the seniors, the first thing they said was, well, first things first, we got to worry about being 1-0 against Indiana. We'll get into the matchup with the Hoosiers and Kevin Wilson's team in just a little bit.
I got to interrupt you, Chris.
Yes.
I got to stop for a second, and I have to correct myself because I know the fans don't think I ever make a mistake. That's just by listening on game day and the shows in the past. I know that they think I'm infallible. Now, my wife is here to tell you otherwise. There's no doubt. So if you wanted to ask my wife if I'm infallible, she'd be more than happy to tell you that I am not. But I was asked a question the other day post-practice, and I incorrectly answered the question. And it was a question about Veterans Day and the upcoming game. And I was remiss in not saying that, as you can see these two hats over here on our table, the first 5,000 fans in this stadium on Saturday are going to receive this hat, the digital camo hat with the stars and stripes block are on it. And another thing that we did, again, I am the grandson, the son, the nephew of veterans. So it's certainly something that is near and dear to my heart, and we're very appreciative of everything the veterans have done for us to live in this country the way we live in it. And I don't know if there's any veterans here tonight, but if there are, during the breaks, if you would stop up, we have something for you. And if for some reason we run out, we will take your address and we'll make sure that you get it. So we do appreciate you. We're excited to give out these hats, and some of the coaches will have them on the sideline as well.
As you said, first 5,000 on Saturday. We'll get these hats. They're great-looking hats. And, Coach, it's amazing. I was thinking about this the other day when you were talking about it. With Veterans Day, we have a couple of days a year that we specifically thank them, but it's really a year-round thing when you think about it. And I think that, I don't want to say people take it for granted. I think we all do it without necessarily realizing it. But what they do for our country and what they do to protect us, you can never really quantify in thanks, I don't think.
There's no doubt. And I don't think we could ever thank them enough.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that I have, again, my grandfather, my father, my uncle, all as veterans, I don't know that I ever really understood what they sacrificed for us until I had the opportunity to go to the deployment of the 1st Battalion, 114th Infantry in the spring. And to go there and to have an opportunity to address the troops and to see their families, their mothers, their fathers, their wives, their children, their husbands, all lined up on the sides, essentially saying goodbye to them for a year as they travel to the Middle East. It touched me in a way that really I had never experienced before when it comes to veterans.
And when it comes to the veterans, I wanted to actually say, when I got to go up to 2 summers ago now already, when I got to go up to that Army base and seeing how they run the show up there and how everyone's together for every meal of the day and how they treat football as on the side, and everything that they do before that is to just get them ready, how they serve and protect our country. And it's truly incredible what they do and what they sacrifice and be away from their families. And it just doesn't even do them enough justice to say thank you.
No doubt. And in that setting, football's the easiest part of their day.
Exactly. It's crazy.
I don't know if the word sacrifice even really covers it. It really is amazing. We can't thank them enough. And, we'll obviously see that on Saturday with these given away. And again, as Coach said, if you are a veteran and you're here in attendance tonight, please come up front. Coach Flood brought a little special present for you, and we appreciate everything that you have done for us. One other thing I want to mention before we get to some football, terrific event last night with our friend Mr. LeGrand over here. Second consecutive year for an evening with Eric LeGrand that's put together by the folks at New Roads Financial, and specifically 2 Rutgers grads, Ron Garuti Jr. and Jason Newcomb. They started this last year with the hope of raising $10,000 to contribute to Team LeGrand. Last year, $24,000. This year, last night, how about this, Coach? $37,900 raised for Team LeGrand as part of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation.
And it was truly incredible. I'm happy my mom got to come this year, too, because she got to speak up there last year. She was sick, and, it just shows all the work that's going on, especially with the big idea over at the Reeve Foundation. You can see now where your money is going to with all the research. And people down there, with all this research and scientist stuff, all that scientific stuff, people are going to be getting out of these chairs, I really believe, within these next 5 to 10 years. And, being able to not only live my dream, but all the other people out there live their dreams of being able to walk again. And it's just incredible that, Rutgers, with Jason Newcomb and Ron Garuti, how they just gave back, and all the RU alumni and everyone that attended. Truly touches my heart because, that's my family right there, my extended family. And they continue now, as you said, make this an annual thing now, the 2nd year. And that's just more money being raised and getting closer to the goal. And it's going to happen, Coach.
There's no doubt. I have no doubt in my mind it's going to happen.
And Eric was talking about the big idea. And for those who don't know what that is, this was with the 10th anniversary of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. So please stop me when I'm wrong about this, but I saw the video last night, as everybody else who was in attendance did, and there have been 4 people who have been afflicted with paralysis of some way. And there's an electronic stimulation.
That goes into your lower back of the spinal cord, and when you turn it on, it's allowed people to regain back bowel, bladder, movement in their toes, sexual function, and sensation throughout their entire body, all within the next few days after that they implanted these few people. And now the big idea is to raised $15 million to implant 36 more patients. The first 4 were fairly young guys that were in shape. Now you want to do people with incomplete injuries, complete injuries, older, younger, male and female, and see what this really could be. This could be something special because it not only can work maybe for spinal cord injuries, but people like that have ALS or MS, things like that. So this is a huge, huge step in, in the way we're going with science and research, and we just got to raise that money now, get closer to that goal of 15 million so we can get these next 36 people implanted.
Well, I mean, it's astounding to see. If you didn't get a chance to see the video, Google The Big Idea, and you'll see it with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. And as always, Rutgers football well represented last night, as you would expect, and right in the heart of it. And, more than once, that word family comes up.
And I, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have the seniors here. It's a great way. I see Gary, I see John Aiken, Batim Bajari, Nick DeLuisa, Kenny Kirksey's over there. I want to make sure I don't miss any of the guys who are here. I don't need anybody getting sad because I forgot to mention them. But it's something a lot of places say, but at Rutgers we really mean it. And I know that it's a part of our culture because the present players, they talk about it. The former players, they continue to talk about it. And it's one of probably the most important thing to me as the head coach. And that's really ultimately how you build a program, and not a football team, but a football program over time. And it starts with family.
And as you said, the former players do continue to talk about it. As I mentioned it yesterday, and they're still talking to some of the guys like Bo Backety and Scott. They're still, it's like, well, how's Rutgers doing? These guys, you still talk about that family atmosphere. And as these guys like Kenneth Kersey, this is the last year of the players that I got to actually play with now. They're going on to, to bigger and better things. They're going to be talking about family also.
Well, we, again, want you to be a part of the show tonight at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. We'll talk some Rutgers football coming up. Let's step aside, take our first time out of the night.
All right.
And we'll get into the matchup with Indiana coming up. Thanks again for joining us. We are live at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Sweeps, screens, every play is drawn up and studied. When you can visualize a play, you can execute a play. The same is true in business. The more visibility you have in your supply chain, the better your business performs. That's why UPS lets you track what comes in and what goes out. Logistics is our game. See how we can help yours at thenewlogistics.com. UPS, official logistics partner of the NCAA.
Hey fans, where do you go when you want to know the latest in college football? Go to CampusInsiders.com for your college sports inside scoop and video. Watch live games, sports news, editorial, best plays, highlights, and analysis 24 hours a day on your laptop or mobile device. Get the insider scoop from CampusInsiders.com. College sports all day, every day. And don't forget to download the app on Google Play or iTunes today.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Looking for a place to watch all of the Rutgers football action as they head into the Big Ten? Enjoy the games with fellow Scarlet Knights fans at these Rutgers Athletics official watch party locations. New York City's Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, Hoboken's Cadillac Cantina, Tom's Rivers McIntyre's Pub, New Brunswick's Mike's Courtside Sports Bar and Grill, and Quaker Steak and Lube's 3 locations in Edison, Brick, and Powhatan.
Oh, what up, Rutgers? Hey, guess what? I bet you didn't know you're about to have 3 different kinds of barbecue sauce all over that sweet, sticky mug of yours. Also, bet you didn't know, down south in North Carolina, we can actually make some of the best barbecue you've ever had in your ding-dong life. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's Barbecue and put some South in your mouth. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Or check us out at brotherjimmys.com. See y'all real soon.
Back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick for this week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show. Chris Carlin along with Eric LeGrand and the coach of the Scarlet Knights, Kyle Flood. So let's talk a little football. And first of all, your bye week here. Always an opportunity to give guys a little bit of a chance to rest up, get a little bit healthier. So evaluate this particular bye week for me.
Yeah, a little different than the first one. You know, with really 3/4 of the season behind us, this bye week gave us a little bit of a chance to get healthy. I thought that was important for us, so we did approach it that way. But it also gave us a chance to get a little bit of a head start on the game plan and to look at some things, some that stayed in the game plan, some that didn't stay in the game plan. And I thought that was good for us as well. So that when we came back on Sunday, we did the official install, but a lot of it we had already previewed during the week.
What about some of the young guys now? Do they get the chance to go up against each other and play Rutgers football instead of, getting the scout team looks? You get to do a lot more with them during the bye week?
We did a little bit more. We did a little bit more. And the reason being we're a little bit thin right now. What we had been doing was the old Sunday night scrimmage that you were a part of was moved actually to Thursday morning. It became the Thursday morning scrimmage. And I thought that was really valuable. We've got about 5 of them in this season. It was a lot of fun to do it and to watch those guys play Rutgers football, and I think they got a lot out of it. But at this point in the season, we're just a little bit thin to go out there and do it and play and tackle and all that. So we said, you know what, we're going to give that one a couple weeks off.
Coach, a couple of things that came out of the bye week. First of all, with Gary and his health, how is he progressing here?
I think he gets a little bit better every day. And I think, by the time we get to game day, he'll be about as close to 100% as he could be. He looks great out there throwing the ball, running around, so it's been good to have him out there.
What does it do mentally for you as a coaching staff and as the players getting a bye week and trying to focus on getting better and also, as you said, getting healthy?
I think it helps. Yeah, I think it definitely helps. And again, as long as the goals are very clearly defined for the players and the coaches, I think it always helps. And as a coaching staff, it gives us a chance to go out on the road and recruit a little bit too. Mm-hmm.
Coach, how about you mentioned one thing during the week that I thought was pretty interesting, and I'm curious as to why the decision. You're going to go with 4 running backs this week. You said we could play 4 different running backs at different times this week with Josh Hicks back on the offensive side. Take us through that.
Well, it's an area that we have to become more productive in. There's no doubt about that. I like the way Josh looks at running back. I don't dislike the way the other 3 guys look at running back. So, what we've tried to do over the last 9 days is really come up with a plan so that each one of them can have a role. And I think as we get into the game, as I've always said, if one of them shows us that he has an opportunity to dominate the game, he's going to get an opportunity to do that. We will give him enough carries to do that. But I think there's enough. I think there's enough play calls in there for all 4 of them, so we're going to do it.
And so, how do you think that motivates each one of them now, especially Josh Hicks coming back over now and getting another chance at running back? How do you see him stepping up with his motivation now for this?
Yeah, I think all 4 of those guys. I think they're enjoying the competition. I think they're enjoying the opportunity to be a part of the game plan. I've never met an offensive skill player in my life that didn't want the ball. So nobody's gone Keyshawn on us. But we know they want to touch the football, and they're working hard in practice to earn the touches.
Well, that leads us to our first question off Twitter tonight. This comes from RU Tax Esquire. Here we go. Doesn't a running back tend to get better and stronger the longer they play in a game? And if so, how does 4 running backs affect that adage? You hear guys talk about wanting to get into a rhythm. Do you think it's overrated? What do you think?
I think you could look at it one of 2 ways. You could say, hey, if we've got a guy who really is in a rhythm and he's getting better at feeling things as the game goes on, you give him an opportunity to do that. Or you could say, how nice is it going to be in the second half to have a really fresh running back out there, somebody who hasn't had the wear and tear on their body during the game. I think it can work both ways. Like I said, I've done it both ways. I've never done it with 4, but I've done it with 3, and I've done it with 2 before in my career for sure. And as we get into the game, the plan is always a little bit flexible when it comes to those kind of substitutions, and we'll see how it unfolds.
And when you get into mixing up the different running backs and, trying to get into a rhythm with them, does it also have to work when you try to get in a rhythm with the offensive line and how, the blocks and how they're reading the blocks? Or how's that all go so you can get, pretty much everyone on the same page at the same time?
Yeah, I don't know that there's really much difference in the 2, for sure. And fortunately for us, one of the advantages of having a bye week and having the extra practices and devoting some of that time to our opponent is the players have gotten more reps at the looks we anticipate seeing. So I think those things have allowed us more practice time, and with 4 running backs, it's given each one of them a chance to maybe see a little bit more than they would in a normal game week.
It's a little early to be asking, but I'll ask you because I hear it said in the NFL quite a bit, and this just ties into the timing of this particular bye week. In the NFL, you hear people talk about rookies hitting a certain wall. Do you find that to be the case with freshmen, the true freshmen in particular?
I think you have to be conscious of it. It's individual for every player, for sure. But there's no doubt that at this point in the semester, our true freshmen have played more football, done more workouts, had more study hall time, have been more there's been more intensity on the academic side of it than anything they've ever experienced. And if you don't monitor that, if you don't talk to them about how to get the correct amount of rest, there's no doubt that it can catch up to you.
So with that in mind, for those guys in particular, was this a good time to have that week?
Oh, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. I think you get to this point in the season. I've never really been we don't get to set the schedule, so I try not to worry too much about things we don't control. Mm-hmm. But I've never been a big fan of an early bye week, and I've never been a big fan of really a bye week with 1 or 2 games left. I'm not a big fan of either one of those, because I think it minimizes how much you can really get out of it. But I think when they're somewhere in the middle, and for us, 3/4 of the way through the season with 4 games left on the schedule, it ends up being 3 games left on the schedule, I should say. It ends up being at a pretty good time, I think, for us to be a little bit healthier.
And as we just mentioned, as the freshman hitting the wall, how much does it go to developing a relationship with those freshmen to see when those walls are hit, or how far much more you could push them to see where they can get to, especially, of course you see it on the football field, but even in the classrooms or even in study hall or breaking down film, how does that, go into developing a relationship with them to see how far you can push them?
Absolutely. The relationship with the player, and then the communication process with Jenna Beverly and her staff, because they're having the daily communication. They're the ones talking with the teachers and the study, and they're managing the study halls. So I think that kind of communication, the communication with the player directly, the communication with the support staff that's surrounding the player, all those things allow you to provide whatever they need so that they can make sure they can finish the semester strong, both athletically and academically.
Our telephone number, 855-FLOOD-44, 855-356-6344. Don't forget, if you're in attendance here at Brother Jimmy's, you want to ask the coach a question, by all means, come right up front. Our man Jimmy in the black Rutgers shirt right here, and we will get you on the air. I want to talk a little bit more about the seniors, but not so much about the on-the-field stuff. Do different classes have different traits to them? And if so, how would you characterize these 19 seniors in particular?
I'm the guy on the staff who has been here, throughout their entire careers, and you look at that group over there, and for me, it's every year it's individual. A guy like Michael Burton, who comes into the program as a walk-on and really becomes one of the most valuable pieces of what we do on the field, and one of the most valuable personalities off the field, for sure, and somebody who sets the standard for work ethic in our program. And then a guy like John Aiken, who's come into our program and over the years has done so many things for our program on special teams, and this year as a senior has taken a much bigger role on defense and has made some of the more key plays for us in this season. Somebody I recruited personally, Batim Bujari from Sea Caucus, Coach Voorhees. I remember going to see Batim when he was only a junior, and seeing him at the high school and watching him work out, and then watching him progress, as a freshman and a sophomore when I was coaching him, and now as the head coach. It's been really a great process for me to watch for him. So to me, the memories really are individual to the player. So yeah, certainly every year it's a little bit different. I see Caleb Johnson over there, I think in the corner, he's hiding, but he wasn't hiding as a senior in high school back in Jacksonville when I'd have to go down there once a week to watch him wrestle.
Hey, Coach, each recruiting class, they have a different personalities, and each one's, some different than others. But when it comes to seniors, sometimes, though, you kind of mix them together now because you have your ones that red shirt and the ones that don't red shirt, and it's kind of they mix together. So how would you describe, this one as they do mix together now, going out with the team his 5th year, but then you have Gary Nover, who's his 4th year senior?
Sure, and I think what I would do is I would wait until the end of the season to do it, because this team has still got some special things ahead of them.
Okay.
And an opportunity to do some things that that very few graduating classes will be able to say that they did in the course of their careers.
Coach, I'm curious as to when you have a group like this that you were an assistant for at the beginning and you became the head coach, does the relationship change for you with the players as your role changed?
Oh, there's no doubt that it does. And when I was the line coach and the assistant head coach, I tried to make sure that I had a relationship with all the players. But as the head coach, you have much more contact with the other positions than you do when you're on one side of the ball or the other. That's for sure. And that's been one of the more enjoyable things to me. One of the things I said to them when I became the head coach was part of my job was to make sure that all the reasons why they came to Rutgers would still be here for them. And the other part of my job was to make the program better. And I hope that they feel like we've tried to do both of those things every year, since I became the head coach. And I'm excited to finish the season with this group because, like I said, we've still got a lot of football left to play. and some special accomplishments out there for us to go after.
And I know this is your third year already doing it, but does it still feel weird when you have to go around, instead of just focusing on the offensive line now, you're looking at every little thing that's going on out there as the head coach? Does that still feel a little bit weird for you to change, or is it something that's just enjoyable to just go about it?
It never felt weird to me. It really didn't. And it was something that for a long time I wanted the opportunity to do, and you try to prepare yourself. As I said, after my first year, it's a little bit like being a parent. You do everything you can to prepare yourself, and you talk to a lot of people, but the reality is, until you have your first child, you don't have any idea what it's going to be like. And being a head coach is a little bit like that. So I forget which coach was the one who said it. It might have been John Wooden, that nobody is ever completely prepared for their first head coaching job, because there's certain things you have to experience, and then you have to go forward with those experiences.
We have our first question from someone in attendance tonight. This young man, met him before. What's your name? Where are you from?
Noah Weiss from New Jersey.
Noah, how are you?
Good.
All right, Noah.
Hi.
What's your question?
So tackling is a key part of the of football. So what do you guys work on this week for tackling against Indiana?
Well, I'll tell you this. The first thing we work on is having good players. You get guys like John Aiken, a guy like Kenny Kirksey, that gives you a chance. Even a guy like Michael Burton sometimes on kickoff gives you a chance to go down there and make sure you tackle. But the fundamentals of defense never change. And for our defense, it's about setting an edge with one player and then the other 10 players on the field pressing the hip so that we don't overrun it. And we're going to be tested this week because they've got a very talented runner in Tevin Coleman, one of the better running backs in the country. And it's going to take a lot of people swarming the football and doing it in a very disciplined manner to make sure we get them on the ground.
Great question, Noah. Thanks.
Thank you, Noah.
Good job. All right. We will get to I'll get you this Twitter question right now because you've mentioned Mr. Burton a couple of times. And
all right.
News today that has come out that Michael Burton has been nominated for the Burlsworth Trophy earlier today. The award is given to the nation's top walk-on or former walk-on. So this is from Marie, RU grad 75. Can you tell us more about that award?
Well, the first thing I would tell you is, I mentioned Michael a lot, and the reality is every time I mention Michael's name, his parents send a donation. So it's a little bit of a deal that we have. So we try to mention Michael as many times as we can. I think that's a special award, and I think people. You talk about guys in our program like Gary Brackett, guys in our program like Sean O'Hara, Michael Burton, who started, and there's more than that, but they started as walk-ons, and it takes a very special person to do that. Because it's a tremendous challenge. It's a tremendous investment, and you have to have phenomenal belief in yourself because when you're doing it, people have already told you that you're not a scholarship player at that level, and yet you still believe that you are, and you're able to overcome that on the field with your performance day in and day out. And it's really a testament to Michael's mental toughness and his work ethic that he's been able to get this far. And he's certainly a very talented player. Don't take that the wrong way, but it's all the other intangibles, in my opinion, that have allowed him to rise to the level that he's risen to.
And when you're a recruiting coach, how does it go when you decide that someone's a preferred walk-on and not a scholarship player? How does that work out?
Well, a lot of times it's a situation where a player has the scholarship offers at the FCS level, but they want the opportunity to play at the FBS level. And that's kind of how it's worked out for most of the ones that I've had over the years. And maybe we'll bring Michael on. We'll ask him if it was the same.
We'll get him up here in a few minutes.
That's
How about that? Well, it has been a great tradition at Rutgers to have terrific players who have gone on to the next level, who have been walk-ons, and not going to be surprised to see Michael Burton play on Sundays. Let's step aside. We will take more of your questions on Twitter at RFootball, in person here at Brother Jimmy's, and on the telephone lines at 855-356-6344. Thanks again for joining us live from Brother Jimmy's. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
We're about living in the moment.
You know, that moment when you open a Pepsi and hear the music.
We're the doers, the shakers, the tastemakers.
The ones who dance to their own beat.
The ones who stay cool when things heat up.
Whether the party is big or small.
We're the ones who never want it to end.
The ones who can't stop.
And never will.
The beat starts at Pepsi.com. Pepsi. Live for now.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
We built the Audi A3 sedan with available features like 4G LTE Wi-Fi, cutting-edge MMI touch, industry-leading LED headlamp technology, and legendary Audi Quattro all-wheel drive. Because why settle for mediocrity when you can power past it? Stay uncompromised.
Experience luxury without compromise in the new Audi A3 with legendary Quattro all-wheel drive at your local New Jersey Audi dealer. The New Jersey Audi dealers, proud sponsors of Rutgers Athletics.
IMG College is the exclusive marketing and multimedia rights holder for Rutgers University. Through Rutgers IMG Sports Marketing, your business now has a total custom solutions provider for marketing through Rutgers athletic events. As the Scarlet Knights enter the Big Ten, now more than ever is the time to become an official partner of the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. Call Rutgers IMG Sports Marketing at 732-445-7870. Thanks for listening to the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
We are live on 1450 AM WCTC New Brunswick and on ScarletKnights.com with this week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show. Thanks so much for joining us and have an opportunity to talk to you and get your questions in for the coach at 855-FLOOD-44. And you can tweet us your questions at RFootball. And as always, if you're in attendance, ask your question in person. We'll get to the phones in a second. But our man Scott is here as he is each and every week. Ready to go, Coach.
It was never in doubt.
Oh, yeah, I'm always here. You never have to worry about that. So,
what's up, Scott?
My question is, I was originally going to ask about the game itself, but we got talking about Senior Day, and it's got me thinking about tradition. These guys have had their traditions here for 4 years now. Coach, I've always wondered, what is your favorite game day tradition here at Rutgers?
You know, I love the Scarlet Walk. I really do. I love getting off the buses and seeing all the fans. But I would tell you the only thing that I think I enjoy more than that is standing down in the tunnel right before we go out and just hearing the crowd. Sometimes there's some people banging on the overhead on top of us. I know, is Garif here yet? Last week, Garif tried to leave a little bit early with the axe. we had to rein him back in. But that's probably the most enjoyable moment other than the game itself, which I really like.
All right. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll see you there.
All right, Scott, we got a couple of phone calls to get to. First up, Tiger in Woodbridge. You are live on the Kyle Flood Show. Tiger, how are you?
Woodbridge.
How's everything going?
All right, Tiger. Eric's pumped up. We got a Woodbridge call here now. We're fired up.
My area right there.
Hey, hello, Coach. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I had the honor of meeting you during the spring game. I want to give a shout-out to one of my friends, Bori Blanco. Coach, I had a question regarding, the trenches. What is the outlook this point going forward in trying to nab some athletic O linemen and D linemen on both sides of the ball with size and speed? Guys who are playing now, how do they look for next year and the years going forward?
I would tell you that Batim would be the first to tell you that he is athletic. No, I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity we have in front of us this week. That's for sure. I think we've had 2 good weeks of practice. I'm excited about some of the younger players in the program, and you guys don't get a chance to see them every day. But a guy like Tariq Cole, a guy like Marcus Applefield, Zach Heeman, Jaquise Webb, these guys are all working hard every day on the scout team, and I get to watch them on film. I get to see the progress that they're making, and even some of those young defensive linemen, some guys that are playing a smaller role right now, like Sebastian Joseph, whose role will only get bigger in time, and a guy like Eric Waif, who is on our scout team and doing a great job for us.
We appreciate the phone call, Tiger. We've got another one up next. Mike in Cedar Ridge is on the Kyle Flood Show. Mike, how you doing?
Very well, guys. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good to have you with us, Mike.
Hey, I have a question for Coach, but before I ask the question for Coach, I was just reading an article about Eric LeGrand and his work he's doing with the high school hockey player who was injured, called Mikey Nichols.
Yes.
And I want to commend Eric for the tremendous job he's doing with Mikey over at Kessler, helping him get better and facing his challenges. Eric, tremendous job.
Hey, thank you.
Hats off to you.
It's a family we don't want to be a part of, but once you're in it for life, and we're there to support.
Keep up the good work. I'm at Kessler about once a month. I met you there last year doing some work there. And what Kessler does is also very, very impressive, the facility there. My question for Coach. Coach, in the last home game, I noticed in the backfield a second official adjacent to the referee with the white hat, about 20 yards on the other side in the backfield, was a second official in the backfield. Is this something new in the Big Ten? Has it occurred in every Big Ten game this year? I go to all the home games, but it's the first time I noticed it.
It is. It is something that the Big Ten has adopted this year. And, it's really it's really for two reasons. One, with the advent of the no-huddle offenses, it gives the officials an extra body to stand over the ball. They give you usually about, if the offensive team changes personnel, the defense generally gets about 3 seconds to decide if they want to change personnel or not. And if they decide that they do, the official will stand over the ball until they complete it. If they haven't made a decision after 3 seconds, then the official will step away. And what it does is it allows the other official to be in place when the ball is snapped. And it's another set of eyes back there, I think, to protect the quarterback, to make sure that the line play is clean. And it is something new in college football this year, and we've had it in every game.
Interesting. That's what I thought, but I wasn't quite sure if I just missed it in the previous home games. One other comment or question about the officiating. Do you find the officiating, especially in regards to offensive holding, more lenient in the Big Ten as opposed to last year in the American Conference?
I would tell you the Big Ten officials do the best job of anybody in the country. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I couldn't be more excited about the job that they're doing this year, and I have no doubt that we will have a phenomenal crew this Saturday.
Yeah, and I think our penalties are down this year, are they not?
They are.
Yeah, good job with you and your coaching staff, and good luck this week. I'll be at the Scarlet Walk. Give you a high five.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike, for checking in. We appreciate it. From Mike, we continue on the phones and go to our man Eddie in Union City. You are up next on the Kyle Flood Show. Eddie, how are you?
Is this Eddie having to be in law enforcement?
Absolutely. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good, Eddie. How's it going, brother?
Not much. I just want to know your feelings and emotions going to this final game with the seniors. I know you're attached to these guys.
I'm excited for them, and other than my excitement for them, I'm really spending every minute I have trying to make sure that they get the day that they deserve. And then when the game is over, I'm sure I'll feel more emotion than that. But right now, I'm not focused on it, but I am motivated by it. There's no doubt. And to have these guys here tonight is awesome. And I love the fact that they get to have a meal together, even though they all weren't in the same recruiting classes. You have guys who redshirted, guys who didn't redshirt. But they've come through this program for 4 or 5 years together. And it's everybody's job in our program to make sure that we give them the best opportunity to go out the way they deserve to.
Sounds great, Coach. We're going to be pulling for your root to your heart this Saturday.
Appreciate you, Eddie.
I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Sounds good.
Eddie, we appreciate the phone call. We'll step aside. We'll take another time out. When we come back, more to discuss with the matchup with Indiana, plus the Rutgers Athletics Hall of Fame inductions this weekend as well. We step aside. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Looking for a place to watch all of the Rutgers football action as they head into the Big Ten? Enjoy the games with fellow Scarlet Knights fans at these Rutgers Athletics official watch party locations. New York City's Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, Hoboken's Cadillac Cantina, Tom's Rivers McIntyre's Pub, New Brunswick's Mike's Courtside Sports Bar and Grill, and Quaker Steak and Lube's 3 locations in Edison, Brick, and Powhatan.
What's up, Rutgers? Y'all ready for some football? Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick is your headquarters for Scarlet Knight football, as well as your home for the Jets, Giants, and all your favorite NFL teams. With over 30 HD TVs, we serve up all the NFL action on Sunday and Monday nights, with amazing food and drink specials all game long. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at BrotherJimmy's.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
STS Tire and Auto Centers has been a proud sponsor of Rutgers Athletics for over 29 years. Trust STS service professionals to fix your vehicle right the first time and provide peace of mind with every tire purchase. So when your vehicle needs service or a set of the right tires at the right price, turn to any one of STS's 150 neighborhood locations. And with our Tire Price Assurance Plan, you're guaranteed to get the best price on your next set of tires. STS, nobody treats you better than an owner. STStire.com.
Did you know that Bill Rasmussen, the founder of ESPN, earned his MBA at Rutgers? With the #1 public MBA in the New York metropolitan area, according to U.S. News, professionals come to Rutgers to enhance their careers without being saddled with the huge debt that comes with attending a private business school. Rutgers Executive Education provides access to the top minds in their fields: digital marketing, social media, healthcare management, entrepreneurship, and much more. In class, online, or at your company. Learn more at business.rutgers.edu/executive education.
We continue on this week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show, live from Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. Thanks so much for joining us live on ScarletKnights.com and on 1450 WCTC. The Burlsworth Trophy is what Michael Burton has been nominated for, again, to the nation's top walk-on or former walk-on. And I'd be hard-pressed to find another one that's made the impact that he certainly has on the field. And we'll be pulling hard for him to get that, and off the field as well. And it brings us to another former walk-on that you mentioned, and a guy that's being inducted into the Rutgers Athletics Hall of Fame on Friday night, and that is Sean O'Hara, of course, the Super Bowl champion with the Giants. A walk-on in every way possible. A walk-on at Rutgers, in essence, a walk-on in the NFL, an undrafted free agent who made it with the Cleveland Browns and then came to New York and, of course, won a Super Bowl championship and still remains a big part of Rutgers.
Yeah, a tremendous part of Rutgers, and somebody that was, even when I was the offensive line coach, was always around, would always come by practice. I remember becoming the head coach and reaching out to Sean and speaking to him a little bit, and he says, Kyle, whatever I can do, if you ever want me to come down. And every time we've reached out and asked him to come down, say hello to the team, he always does it. He's such an important part of the history of our program, and he gives back so much in every way, and not just to Rutgers. He's got quite a few, I think, charitable organizations he's involved with. He does his golf tournament for cystic fibrosis, I believe, that I've been fortunate enough to attend the last couple of years. And just a great example of what a student athlete in our football program can become.
And how important is it to bring back guys like Sean O'Hara, Gary Brackett, walk-ons that did it and had a successful career in the NFL, and be able to come back and talk to the team and show them that if they can do it, why can't you do it?
I think it's great. Anytime you have an opportunity to bring back one of the successful alums from your program, some that played in the NFL and some that are successful doing other things in life, I think it's really valuable to those players in the program, and it certainly starts the networking process for them as well.
Also being inducted into the Hall of Fame Friday night, the 1961 undefeated football team.
Yep.
And it's interesting, that's a lot of fans, you get to know the history a little bit. And those who aren't aware, you got an opportunity to see a pretty nice video today.
I did, and somebody had asked me the other day if I had a lot of relationships with the guys on the 61 team, and I didn't. I certainly have a lot of relationships with the former football players, the alumni from a lot of different generations. I don't always know exactly which team they played on. But somebody was kind enough to send me a video recap of the 1961 Rutgers-Columbia game, which was tremendous. I watched it this afternoon before I came over and realized that a gentleman by the name of Pierce Fraunheim, who a longtime coach at Immaculata, and I knew he was a Rutgers football player, somebody I've known for many years through the recruiting circles, had a pick six late in the game to seal that game and really finish the comeback and wrap up what was the first undefeated season in the history of our program.
What does it mean getting the support actually from these guys? Like I said, I go all over the place, and people like, I'm the class of 1963 or 1985.
What year were you born?
I was born in 1990. So,
1990?
Yeah,
Goodness gracious.
I graduated high school that year.
Come on, I'm tell you, I'm a grown man at heart.
Wow.
But
grown man. You're a baby.
But yeah, what's it mean, Coach, getting that support? As you're the head coach of the team now, I'm sure you get a lot more than I even do.
Well, I enjoy it. And again, having been here 10 years years now, I've gotten a chance to meet a lot of alums over the years, and to be the head football coach at a university that is the birthplace of college football, there's so much history in our program, and every chance we have for our players to get to know a little bit more of it, we want to make sure that they get that experience. And I'm going to have that video. Actually, it's like a 2.5-minute video, and I'm going to have that playing on the TVs in the Hale Center when the boys come in tomorrow, so they get a chance to see it too.
Also being inducted into the Hall of Fame, Courtney Turner, who was a gymnast for Rutgers back from 1999 to 2002, had the only perfect 10.0 score in the floor exercise, and Charles Burt Garrett Sr., who was a pitcher on the Rutgers baseball team back in 1928, from 1928 to 1930, 6th all-time in strikeouts at Rutgers with 166. That's Friday night at the College Avenue Gym, so that should be terrific, and they'll all be honored certainly Saturday as well at halftime. We have another question from a gentleman here in attendance. We'll jump on the phones again in a moment. Sir, what's your name?
I'm Peter from Emerson, New Jersey.
Peter, how you doing?
I'm good. Chris, Coach, Eric, we love you, Eric. No, we love you. Hey, Coach, first of all, I'm an alumni, and now my son goes to school here, so I'm really been tied to the program for a long time. I just want to tell you how proud I am, and I'd like to think many of us in the silent majority are, of the kids that you bring into the program and how they graduate and become good men. But on that subject, and senior night, I want to ask about recruiting, not anything specific, but you say, and before you, Greg, to be fair, that you wanted to recruit Rutgers men.
Sure.
And they certainly seem to be good men. They graduate. They don't get in trouble. They play pretty good football. So what when you're on the recruiting trail, what are you looking for Rutgers men?
I think, recruiting is not easy, but it's like a lot of things in life, it's not complicated either. I think the first thing you have to do is you have to look at the athletic component. And that's probably the fastest decision we make, is you look at the player athletically and say, can this player help us win every game on our schedule? And then after you've done that, you've got a pool of players, and that's really when the real work begins, because now you got to talk to as many people as you can, and you got to talk to that recruit as many times as you can to make sure that he's the right type of person for our program. And when I say that, what I mean is he is a person who is going to be competitive every day. He's going to come in and he's going to be ready to work. He's a guy who really wants to get his degree. So if a player wants to get their degree, we have the resources to surround them with to make sure that they do a good job academically. I think we've proven that over time. And that, to me, ultimately, is the perfect marriage of a university and its players.
Thank you very much. Be well, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
luck Saturday.
Thank you.
You talked about being ready to work, and one thing that always comes to mind whenever you hear from NFL coaches is just how well prepared Rutgers players are, because they have that work ethic, and they're exceptionally prepared in that regard. And for those who had not heard today, there was another Rutgers player who is back in the NFL, and frankly, it's where he belongs.
No doubt.
And that's Brian Leonard, who signed with the New Orleans Saints earlier today. So that's terrific news to see Brian get another opportunity at playing in the league.
Yeah, I had a chance to coach Brian for 2 years, and it was a lot of fun, because Brian was exactly the kind of person that I talked about. And even when I had got here, the year before I got here, Brian had led the team in rushing and receiving. And as we got in the meeting rooms, what I thought was really one of the more awesome things about Brian was his willingness to learn. Despite the fact that he was probably the most accomplished offensive player on the team at that point, every day his ears were open, his eyes were open. He wanted to watch the film. He had questions. He wanted to hear the coaching points, and a big part of the reason why our program is what it is today.
I want to go back to developing relationships with these high school coaches. You said you look for the Rutgers guys. Sometimes if you don't choose one of their guys that they like, does that sometimes cause a conflict with a relationship if you come back after another one? How does that work?
I've never felt that there's ever been an issue as long as you were upfront and honest, with the high school coaches. Whether it's Benny LaSala, who was your high school coach, or Rich Hansen or Greg Toll or Nunzio or Fred Stengel before him at Bergen Catholic. I think when you are upfront and honest with the coaches, and you are keeping in contact and communicating with them, if a player's not the right fit, they understand that. And I think they understand it's not necessarily the player's the right fit for us. Maybe he's the right fit somewhere else. And I think that's a better situation than bringing a player to your program that you know is not the right fit, and then he doesn't have a good experience. To me, that damages the relationship more than anything.
We have another call to get to. That's Scott in Staten Island up next on the Kyle Flood Show. Scott, how are you? Scott.
Yes.
How you doing?
Hello, gentlemen.
Thanks for
I'm
calling.
doing
What's
excellent
cooking?
tonight. Hopefully you guys are doing well tonight as well. Question, Mr. Coach. A lot of people talk about this, and I wanted to hear your view on it. The recruiting, how important is it for 3 reasons to make a bowl game for recruiting, where kids see you go into the playoffs and how much a reward it is for them to want to be there to get to go to these bowl games? That's part 1 of the question. And part 2 is how important it is to the program to get those extra practices in before the bowl game for next season.
I think winning is good in every way. And that's really the short answer to a much more complicated question, I think. But there's no doubt that winning is good for the program. And going to a bowl game, which would be the 9th bowl game in 10 years, there's not a lot of teams in our conference that will be able to say they've been to 9 bowl games in 10 years. And I think it'll be a tremendous accomplishment when we get it done. And you're right, those extra practices become very valuable because when we get those extra practices in December, our younger group of players will be healthier, and we will be able to do some more of those scrimmages that I want to do. And it gives our upperclassmen a chance one more time to prepare to play a good opponent. And it really becomes a reward for everybody in the program, not just the players, but the coaches and their families and the support staff alike.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck the rest of the way, and look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott, for checking in. Let's step aside one more time. We'll wrap up talking about the matchup with Indiana on Saturday. Live from Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick, this is the Kyle Flood Show.
AT&T's best ever pricing for individuals and families lets you stay connected with the nation's most reliable 4G LTE network. It's easy. Just find the service plan that fits you best, including options up to 10 lines, so you can text, call, and download pretty much everywhere you go. AT&T, mobilizing your world.
AT&T is a proud partner of Rutgers Athletics.
Reliability claim based on nationwide carriers 4G LTE. 4G LTE not available everywhere.
Hey fans, where do you go when you want to know the latest in college football? Go to CampusInsiders.com for your college sports inside scoop and video. Watch live games, sports news, editorial, best plays, highlights, and analysis 24 hours a day on your laptop or mobile device. Get the insider scoop from CampusInsiders.com. College sports all day, every day. And don't forget to download the app on Google Play or iTunes today.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
When you park with the parking spot, our friendly drivers get you from trunk to airport terminal faster. And the time you save parking with us, you can use to daydream about the road trip and leading a stadium of screaming fans in the biggest wave ever. Make a free reservation now at theparkingspot.com, and with the money you save, you'll be able to afford face paint remover. Free reservations now at theparkingspot.com. The Parking Spot, proud sponsor of Rutgers Athletics. We have airport parking covered.
In 2014,
It is caught at the goal line!
the Scarlet Knights are thinking
A touchdown for the Scarlet Knights!
big.
Third touchdown of the day.
Same tradition, new home.
Intercepted! The Scarlet Knights have the pick!
Big Ten football.
Rutgers ball, and this one is over!
Listen all season long on your home for Scarlet Knights football. The Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Back at Brother Jimmy's in downtown New Brunswick. We're wrapping up on the Kyle Flood Show, talking about the matchup this Saturday on Senior Day with Indiana. The Hoosiers come in at 3-6 on the season. They're 0-5 in the Big Ten. They have a huge win earlier in the season on the road at Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. They've had some issues at quarterback just by way of injury. They had Nate Sudfeld, who suffered a season-ending shoulder injury against Iowa. Then their backup, Chris Covington, tore his ACL. They're on to Xander Diamant now, who has started the last 3 games. So, Coach, have you seen significant growth in his play over the last game in just watching him?
Absolutely. I think every game with the young quarterback, they've given him a little bit more. And as you can imagine, with a freshman quarterback, I think the first time he was out there, he only threw it 10 times, which makes a lot of sense. They've got an excellent running back. They've got a very good offensive line. they tried to handle the game, with those players. But every week they've given them more and more. I think last week they attempted 24 passes, but that's on the statistics. They really attempted closer to 30 in the game, and some he pulled down and ran a little bit with. So he's gotten better each week. There's no doubt about it. They've given him a little bit more each week, and they've tried to become a little bit more balanced each week. So I think this week will be no different. They'll give him a little bit more again, and then work towards being balanced like they want to be.
And as this late in the season, how hard is it playing for someone who only played for 3 games against someone who's, you have 8 or 9 games to get to see him?
Yeah, I think it's, what you don't know is what you don't know. We don't know exactly what part, we know what they do on offense. We've got plenty of film to see really what's in their package. We don't quite know how much of it they'll give him, so we got to make sure that we're prepared for everything. And while we're doing it, make sure we are ready to try to limit what their running back can do, because Tevin Coleman is a really good player.
Well, keep this in mind. So you go from Nebraska a couple of weeks ago. Amir Abdullah was the second leading rusher in the country at the time. Then you had Wisconsin with Melvin Gordon, who was the third leading rusher at the time. Before that game, Tevin Coleman was actually first. Now he's second. So you get 3 top 3 running backs in 3 consecutive games to contend with.
Absolutely, and I think that is that's part of being in a great conference. You're going to play against the best each week. It's what we want. The players welcome the challenge week in and week out, and we're really excited about the one this week.
All right, so from a scheme standpoint, are they a run-gun team? Do they run a lot out of the spread, or is it more of a traditional team?
No, they're more of a spread team. They do a little bit of gun-run stuff, although Xander's a little bit more of a thrower than he is a runner, but he can run around a little bit. I think if they had their way, they would throw it around probably a little bit more than they have the last couple games. And force you to defend the run, force you to defend the width of the field, and make Tevin Coleman even more dangerous by doing it. They've got some receivers that are very fast, some shorter scat-like receivers with really high-level speed that can stretch the field on you. And again, but I think, the goal this week, and I think the first priority this week, is to make sure we minimize the run game.
And watching the Penn State game, that Penn State has a struggling offensive line, so it's going to be a defensive battle for both teams. What do you see on the defensive side of their team that really stands out?
Yeah, they're a multiple team. They're a 3-4 defense with some talented defensive linemen, but they really pressured PSU quite a bit.
Yep.
And I would be shocked if we didn't see a similar game plan. I think they're going to come after us. I think they have a defensive coordinator who's in his first year at Indiana, and so those players are getting a little bit better at understanding his system every week. And it's, like I said, it's a 3-4 system. It's very multiple, and they bring blitzers from really every part of the field.
Last week, I'll go to Coleman one quick one. We've got about 30 seconds left. Penn State was actually able to limit him under 100, 20 for 71. What did they do that you can go to school on?
I just thought they did a really good job of disrupting the line of scrimmage. And there's no doubt, it sounds simple, and in theory it's simple. It's not easy to do because they are good up front on offense. They're very well coached on the offensive line. But PSU was able to disrupt the line of scrimmage. They were able to get in the backfield and really make him alter his course before he could get up to top speed. And if you can do that with a running back, you got a chance to get him on the ground.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to it. An opportunity to go 1-0 this week, and an opportunity to get that goal of bowl eligible for the 9th time in the last 10 years. Good luck on Saturday.
Well, I appreciate that. We're looking forward to being back in High Point Solutions Stadium. 3:30 kickoff. We're looking forward to seeing the fans there early. We know the Riot Squad will be there early. And we're looking forward to seeing that student section full.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you, Eric.
Want to thank everybody involved with the broadcast tonight, everybody who came down to Brother Jimmy's here in downtown New Brunswick. Paul Schrager, our engineer and producer, along with Colin Osborne running things on ScarletKnights.com, Tim DeMartin as well, Jimmy Gill, and Jason Baum, as usual, getting it done for us in the broadcast tonight. Again, kickoff time this coming Saturday, 3:30. And that game will be on the Big Ten Network and also on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us on the Kyle Flood Show.
You've been listening to the Kyle Flood Show, live from Brother Jimmy's on Easton Avenue in New Brunswick. The Kyle Flood Show has been brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Pepsi, live for now. UPS, to learn how UPS can put the power of logistics to work for you, visit thenewlogistics.com.